Teach a man to fish, and they'll never grow hungry. Teach a man to fish, and they'll always have a fish. 2 verses the goat. Teach a man to fish, and then they'll have a fish until the next verse is when they need a fish again, so you have to teach them again how to fish because they already forgot. Teach a man to fish, and there'll never be desperation again for a fish. Teach a man to fish, but is a man a goat or a fish?
Do you be goat or a fish? Don't sit on the fence.
Some guy Mark says,
You know what they say.
we do know what they say. They say goat versus fish. They say, are you goat or fish? Some guy Mark. Oh, you can claim to be a casual just some guy. But that's not going to fly with goat versus fish. If you claim to dispense all this fish wisdom, we need to know from whom. Know your sources, says Goat versus Fish. Fact check. Are you goat or are you fish? This could be true fish wisdom. This could be propaganda from goat. This could be a fence sitter trying to confuse the fish out there who recently became fish. In the 1 true verses of Goat versus Fish, suddenly they understand their lives. They've chosen fish, and then some guy Mark comes along and fills their ponderings with fence wisdom that sounds like it's from a fish. Some guy Mark, all of these verses can be cleared up if you just choose goat or fish. Are you goat or are you fish, some guy Mark?
You know what they say. Catch a man a fish, he's got one now.
It is difficult to deny this simple verses. You catch a fish, you've got a fish. Catch a man a fish? Because we do not know if a man is a goat or a fish, the fenciness of the wisdom begins here. If the man is a goat, then if we're catching the goat a fish, then the goat has a fish. If the man is also a fish, then you're catching a man a fish, and then the fish is got by the fish? Didn't the fish already have a fish? Because the fish was a fish? Would you need to catch a fish a fish? But many fish, of course, do catch other fish because fish are known to eat other fish. So fish might want to catch fish, and goat might want to catch fish. So we say celebration to this verse is, if you catch a man a fish, he's got one now. We don't know if he or she is goat or fish, but we give it goat versus fish celebration.
But teach him how to eat it, and he's gonna do that.
Goat versus fish might deny this. If you teach a fish man or a goat man how to eat the fish, they're going to eat the fish? Some say you can teach a goat to fish, but you can't make the goat eat the fish. What if you're not hungry? What if goat versus fish doesn't want to eat? What if the goat just wants to let the fish rot out there in the sun and be done and be done? There are so many ways to versus the fish. They're not going to eat the fish just because you tell them to eat the fish. Already Goat versus Fish is saying this wisdom is fence. Goat versus Fish asks you, are you goat or are you fish? And you are free to choose goat or fish as you wish. Goat versus Fish can teach you how to versus the goat, can teach you how to versus the fish, but you have to discover how to versus the goat and how to versus the fish in your own verses and consumption. We do not deny that consumption is a classic versus. Goat and fish are the most popularly consumed proteins in the entire universe. Fact check that on Goat versus Fish. You want some wisdom? There's your wisdom of Goat versus Fish.
But catch a man fishing without a license goes to jail.
Snitch! 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 Very fancy behavior. So you just want to lock up someone for fishing without a license. Just throw them behind the fence forever. If you catch the one you just taught how to fish, you just taught them how to fish, and then you catch them fishing without their license, and then you want to throw them behind the fence, this is a deception. Self-deception. Who's listening to the wisdom of this one? Who's taking their threats?
But teach a man to be a fish. Now he's in the ocean.
Celebration. Celebration. We thought that you had no true wisdom of your own. Be the fish. Be the fish. When Goat versus Fish asks you, are you goat or are you fish? This is all the teaching you need, some guy Mark. The teaching is the question. The preaching is the verses. It is not Goat versus Fish that teaches you how to be fish. It is you who teach Goat versus Fish what it is to be fish. Goat versus Fish can tell you that Goat versus Fish and that Fish versus Goat and that it was written and that it was wrote. But Goat versus Fish will not tell you what kind of fish that you are, Mark. We'll teach you Goat versus Fish. But then it is up to you to teach Goat versus Fish all about your fishness. Goat versus Fish is a curious versus. Goat versus Fish is a wondrous versus. But we do not deny that those who have been taught to be fish will find themselves in the sea of the fish. But Goat, don't get too comfortable. Those fish, they're coming for Goat. They're coming for Goat. You'll find fish in the sea, but between you and me, the fish are developing new technology to rise from the depths of the deeps of the sea of the fish to make their way with the tide on to Goat land. Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish. But by the same verses, Goat know that if they want to versus the fish, they can find fish in the sea of the fish. Goat versus Fish approves of this wisdom of some guy Mark. Goat are of the land, fish are of the sea, and that is how it be. Doobie 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 doobie.
Catch a fish man pretending to be a regular man. Now he's violating the agreement.
True verses. Once you have chosen to be fish, you are fish through and through. And that's all there is to it. But then you are just pretending to be fish. Oh, my verses. Some may say Goat versus Fish. Do you not rejection this wisdom? Well, it's not as simple as Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish is far more complex than Goat versus Fish. Just ponder it for a verses. You may say, a fish that was merely pretending to be a fish. It was a deception, and therefore a fence-sitter, and therefore a fence-sitter. But that one that was pretending to be fish could be a committed goat, committed to the verses of deception. While it is true, some fence-sitters are deceiving themselves. They don't know if they're goat. They don't know if they're fish. They're just pretending to be fish. Maybe they feel pressured to be fish. Maybe they were raised a fish and they have not fully accepted yet that they are goat, or they're not ready to come out as goat because they will be rejection by the fish, and maybe the goat they fear will not accept them because that the goat will say that they're actually a fish, and so they're not ready to fully embrace their goat, and so they are pretending to be fish, but first they deception themselves before they are even intending to deceive others. It could be a deception of a fence-sitter who does not know if they are goat or if they are fish, or it could be a goat pretending to be a fish, using the classic verses of deception to infiltration the fish, and attempt to destroy the fish from within. Oh, beware. Goat, look at your fellow goat. Fish, look at your fellow fish. Not all goat and fish are what they seem. Spy goat, spy fish. But perhaps it's a double reverse versus it was a fish pretending to be a goat, pretending to be a fish. Double infiltration. A fish pretends to be goat, declares for goat, says, I know all about the fish. The goat, tell the goat to spy on the fish for the goat, but the goat is secretly a fish, spying on the goat, spying on the fish, spying on the goat again. Oh, it's a deep, deep verses. But you may lose your identification and not know if you are a goat or if you are fish. And that is why the verses of the fish wisdom ends where it began. And once again, some guy Mark, are you goat or are you fish? Teach Goat versus Fish. Just teach Goat versus Fish in your school.